Well, President Trump flipped Pennsylvania to red by just under 50,000 votes back in 2016. But polling has the state's major Democratic incumbents, including Governor Tom Wolf and Senator Bob Casey, leading their respective Republican opponents. For more, I want to bring in Nicole Sganga. She's in Buckingham, Pennsylvania, and joins us with the latest. Nicole, you've been speaking with voters in Pennsylvania. I want to play a bite of one about a man giving his opinion on what it meant to vote.
It is much bigger than this congressional district. It is a national referendum on where we want to be and where we want to go and where we want to be respected around the world. We've got a good thing going here, but we have to maintain the principles that our country is founded on.
I'm curious if that's reflective of the people you've spoken to, Nicole.
Absolutely. A number of voters I spoke with this morning do feel like this election is a referendum on the country and a referendum on the president. We're at a polling station right now in Buckingham, Pennsylvania. The line was absolutely out the door this morning. Two election officials we spoke with in Bucks County told us they saw more voters turn out before 9 a.m. than they saw the entire day back in 2014. Statewide, new registration for voters 18 to 24 has doubled in 2018. So we're also waiting to see if some of those younger voters turn out. We've seen some of them this morning. The weather has been a little shaky. There are showers, mixed showers. So I know a number of the candidates are concerned about that because there's no early voting here in Pennsylvania. So you got to vote between 7 a.m. or to 8 p.m. or, unfortunately, it's an absentee ballot or nothing else.
Nicole, I'm curious if you've been able to hear from people that you've spoken to at that polling station if the Pittsburgh synagogue shooting has affected those people coming to the polls and exactly how they would vote.
Absolutely. Words that we keep hearing are kindness, respect, decency. And we've not just been hearing that from voters. We've been hearing it from the candidates. I spoke with Representative Brian Fitzpatrick, who's the Republican representing this district right here in Bucks County over the weekend. He told me that he did not approve of the language that President Trump used in the aftermath of that shooting. And he feels that the country does need to be brought together. His opponent, Democrat Scott Wallace, told me that the soul of the country is on the ballot and that he hopes that people were paying attention to the president's remarks in the aftermath of that tragedy in Pittsburgh.
What about the president's message on immigration? Has that resonated with Pennsylvania voters?
Not largely. Republicans I've spoken with here are far less concerned about a caravan approaching the country and far more concerned about the economy, jobs, the labor market, particularly as it pertains to some of the more agricultural areas around here in Chester County and Upper Bucks County. So that messaging on immigration does not exactly hit home with more moderate, independent-minded and Republican voters in this part of the state.
We know President Trump squeaked out a victory in Pennsylvania by ending up flipping those voters in really historic Democratic parts of the state. Are those voters turning back to voting Democrat? Do we know?
So President Trump won in the state of Pennsylvania by 0.6 percentage points. That's about 44,000 votes, so really just a small margin. I think what we're seeing thus far today is a lot of Democratic enthusiasm. So perhaps more of the Democrats that didn't show up in 2016 showing up today, particularly Democrats that are concerned about health care. There are over 400,000 Pennsylvanians covered by the Affordable Care Act. Nearly 5 million have a pre-existing condition in this state. And the number of uninsured Americans in the state of Pennsylvania decreased by 42% during President Obama's last term in office. So health care is a very important issue for Democrats. It's getting them riled up. We also have a lot of political newcomers in the Democratic Party that are getting folks excited. I was canvassing on Saturday with one of them, Chrissy Houlihan, who was greeting women voters who said that they were so excited to vote for her. Currently, Pennsylvania has 18 congressmen and 0 congresswomen. So I think a pink wave is also possible here.
A lot of people watching for that as well. I want to speak to you also about the state's House races. We know Pennsylvania had to completely redistrict their map this year. CBS News Battleground Tracker rates 7 House races, 6 of which are Republican held, as the ones to watch. Has that affected how exactly has that affected the candidate's message to these particular voters?
Absolutely. So there are 18 newly redistricted districts, and 10 of those would have voted for President Trump back in 2016. But the redistricting by the Supreme Court in Pennsylvania did create 2 new blue districts. It also made certain districts more competitive. So I think the message here that candidates have been telling voters is now more than ever, your vote matters. There are fair districts, and your vote could make the difference in this election. So a lot of voters sort of laughed about District 7 here in Pennsylvania, that it looked like the character Goofy kicking Donald Duck, and it was very gerrymandered. I spoke to residents in District 7 over the weekend who said they're excited that now they get to choose a candidate instead of having a candidate choose them. So certainly that's encouraged turnout here as well.
Nicole Sganga in Pennsylvania, an important county. Nicole, thank you for giving us a little perspective from where you're at. And for more, you can also go to cbsnews.com/Pennsylvania. Thank you, Nicole.